So what is the point of having traffic laws? Why do we have them? They make no sense whatsoever. So if I go 5 miles or 1 mile, if I just go 1 mile over the speed limit, a cop can pull me over and take $100 out of my pocket, and then that's acceptable behavior. That's okay. They can steal my money and take something from me even though I didn't hurt anybody. If there is no victim, there's no crime. That's what I believe. I had mentioned that it was a police state, so maybe that's why Bryce Shoemate didn't want to hear what I had to say, and also his wife is a judge, so clearly, you know, they're the powers that be, and also he's against democracy and open discussion, right? And I wanted to say my point, but he went ahead and shut me up real quick and didn't give a shit, and that's why I'm doing this video. So now the whole world gets to hear, you know, my unspoken thoughts at this meeting. But I think it's a good one, because I think it would have actually helped him. It's not, yeah, we have an oppressive police state. I believe that's true. But I'm not saying get rid of all the laws, and I'm not saying get rid of all the police. In fact, I think that there is a function that they have, or that they would serve. My point is that I think that all the regulations and the signs and the lights and everything that's out there should be mere suggestions. And when you wreck, or when you hurt a person, bodily injury, or their property, the book should be thrown at you, okay? So I'm not saying, you know, willy-nilly just absolutely do whatever the hell you want to do, and that's okay, because that would be bullshit. Nobody would be in favor of doing something like that. And there's several towns that actually have this, they call it naked streets. Their streets are naked. They don't even have stop signs, and they don't even have stop lights, including Langley in Washington. So, yeah, so that's my point. And if I would have actually got to say that, but he didn't hear it, and, you know, he probably thinks that I'm just against all police officers. No, that's your own problem, man. I felt like there is a role for the police officers, but just when there's bodily injury and harm or injury to property. So I feel, especially like 2 to 4, I don't know, not especially, but when people are late at night, like I was wanting to drive home late one night, but I was kind of like, man, you know, there might be cops on the road, and I just don't feel safe with that, so I spent the night because of that. And that's stupid. That's some bullshit. I should be allowed to drive, you know, from my house or to my friend's house to my house unimpeded, but there's cops out on the road, and they'll fuck with you for any reason. I'm a young man, and, you know, sometimes I don't like the way that they talk to me, and sometimes perceived disrespect will get your ass fucking kicked, thrown in jail, you'll get fucking raped, and who gives a shit about you, right? That's all she wrote there. So, yeah, if he would have heard that, he would have got to hear that part, so that, you know, he missed out on that part. So there is a role for laws, there is a role for police officers in my dream scenario, my dream society, because if there's no victim, there's no crime. So if you're trying to say, well, I'm going to pull you over because of something you might do, well, that's bullshit. If I didn't hurt nobody, you can't tell me that I would have hurt somebody. You can't pull me over for something that I might do. Can I pull a police officer over because he might ticket somebody and steal their money? Hey, cop, I think you might steal money from people. I'm just gonna arrest you. No, I don't care. You're gonna try to steal people, and that's thieving, that's robbery. Thou shalt not steal. That's immoral. And I'm sure there's laws against stealing, right? Taking people's property. So fuck you. I'm arresting you, and I don't give a shit. And I'm protecting the public. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm making a citizen's arrest on the people, and, you know, that I'm doing public service. He had said, he did admit that you're allowed to citizens arrest people, but on felonies only. Well, that's bullshit. You can citizens arrest people on any charge. You can on misdemeanors too. But he only knows the vague law, so he did hear about it. He did hear that if a felony goes down, so if a police officer is to commit a felony, if they was to kill somebody, if they was to shoot somebody, if they were to rape somebody, robbery, I guess there's a price limit, right? What's the difference between a misdemeanor with robbery and a misdemeanor or a felony with robbery? It's a dollar amount, right? In Florida, it was like $300. So $300 separated what was a misdemeanor versus what was a felony. So if they were to, you know, charge somebody with a $300 ticket, that's a felony. You can, according to a police officer, you're allowed to arrest them. But I think that if there's a misdemeanor, you're allowed to arrest them for a misdemeanor also. So, yeah, the naked streets. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this, okay, first. So in these cities, there's a guy named Hans Monderman, a Dutch engineer, who has put more than 100 shared spaces in the Netherlands. So Hans Monderman, he's a Dutch engineer, and he's put more than 100 shared spaces, these naked streets. you know, in the Netherlands. So in Europe, there's over 100 spaces. So it's not just these 12 cities, but I do have specific 12 cities. You got Makkinga. In Makkinga, Netherlands, they're doing this. Then Drachten, Holland, which is also the Netherlands. So Drachten, they're doing this. In Ejby, in Denmark. Bohmte, Germany. Nieder-Erlenbach, Germany. Frankfort, Germany. Ostende, Belgium. Portishead, England. Kensington, the United Kingdom. Ipswich, England. And some places in London. In Langley, Washington, USA. So, Langley, Washington, USA. There is an American city. When his response was, "Oh, well, this is America. Well, this is America. You know, we can't do like the Haitians or the Germans, because those are the ones that I had thought of." But actually, it's not just Germany or the Haitians. It's the Netherlands and Denmark and Germany and Belgium and United Kingdom and England and the United States of America. Okay, so there's a Dutch engineer. That's Hans Moderman. He's going to put 100 spaces in the Netherlands. So it's not just, you know, those 12 individual spots, but there's like 100 spots in the Netherlands. So it's just catching on in that specific region. But why would it catch on if it wasn't a good idea? There was one incident that I had almost a would-be incident. Okay, it didn't actually turn into an incident, but it sort of goes to the heart of the matter. Okay, so there's a guy who's just flying up the road, and I'm crossing on the crosswalk, and I see that he sees me. But instead of slowing down for me, he speeds up. But as he's speeding up, the stoplight turns red. So he's speeding up, trying to, you know, either hit me or get in front of me. But then the stoplight turns red. So now he's sped up to try to fuck me over, but there's a red light, so now he's having to stop. So what a total asshole. I wasn't in his way. I wasn't at all doing, you know, like, blocking or impeding his path, but he was right in my path. And so I kind of tripped, and I sort of just hit my hand on the side of the car like I had tripped and ran into it. And then I started to walk around this car. And as I walked around the car, the motherfucker started coming out of the car as if he was going to do some shit. You know, like, what, did you run in my car? How dare you? What the hell, man? And I couldn't articulate my viewpoint at the time. I was just so fucking pissed off that this motherfucker tried to fucking run me over, right? And he's trying to be a fucking asshole. You know, fuck you, motherfucker. I just said fuck your mother. Ah, fuck your mother. I'm not arguing with you. I ain't going to educate you. I ain't going to tell you why I think I did what I thought was right. But my point is, eventually, you know, I was sitting there yelling at him, and then a little spittle came out, and he was like, "Oh, now you're spitting on me? Now you're spitting on me?" And I was like, "Ah, fuck your mother," whatever. And I start to walk off and shit. And then I was like, "Oh, you're a bitch, you're a bitch." And I kept saying that as I was on the sidewalk. But the light turns green, and then he drives on. And then I walk up, and I actually see him in the next block, because it was like sort of bumper to bumper traffic. But my point was, you know, this motherfucker is ready to be obedient to a mechanical light. There's a mechanical light that told him to stop, and he was like, "Oh, okay, stop." But he saw that a pedestrian was not in the middle of the road, but was making his way, you know, across the road, and he wanted to show this asshole, "How dare you, you asshole? I'm in a fucking car, and I'm better than you. How dare you, pedestrian? Get the fuck out of the way. I'm a car, and I'm better than you." And so with the light, he's ready to listen to the light and listen to the law and be obeying that law, but his humanity was fucking gone. He could give a shit less. In fact, his humanity was the exact opposite. He saw another person and specifically did shit to fuck him over. Did shit to be an asshole. And I think that's bullshit. That's bullshit how he acted there. So, there's even one thing about how people are starting to rip up the freeways in cities, and it's slowing traffic, but it's making the cities more vibrant. There's more of a entertainment district that's going on. Montana has an unlimited speed limit. So, yeah, there's if there's injury to others, you throw the book at them, but if there's no victim, then there's no crime. And so cops are really just kind of, you know, impeding your process or stopping your progress, stealing your money, and just being a total asshole. It also is frustrating when you're going to work and you see them pull somebody over. So everybody is going to work, right? That's why we're waking up early in the morning in order to get to our job. And here this asshole is like fucking this guy up and giving him a $100 or $200 ticket when he's trying to get a little bit of bread. So now he has to work for 2 days, you know, just because he tried to get there a little bit earlier. And that's bullshit. It's just bullshit. It's 70 miles per hour is what the speed limit is now on the interstate. On rural roads, it's 55, so you can go 55 in a rural area. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. I have 3 pages of stuff here that I'm just gonna start reading. Okay, so the main street turned into a naked square shared equally by bikes, pedestrians, cars, and trucks. With the change, Nieder-Erlenbach, okay, so this is in Germany, Nieder-Erlenbach adopted a radical traffic management philosophy gaining popularity in Europe. Pioneered by a Dutch engineer who thought towns were safer with fewer rules, shared space envisions open surfaces on which motorists and pedestrians can negotiate with one another by eye contact, other signals, and have a greater consideration for one another. Segregating cars and pedestrians was wrong, argued Hans Monderman. So Hans Monderman, the Dutch engineer, he says that segregating cars and pedestrians is just wrong. So he's actually not only just saying, for me, I say keep the signs and the traffic lights as suggestions, so that way people know that there's an intersection, and to try to sort of listen to them, but these things cost money. So he's saying, actually, don't even do that. People are digging up the sidewalks. So Dutch engineer who put in place more than 100 shared space schemes in the Netherlands. He's over 100 shared spaces in the Netherlands. This is Hans Monderland. Prodded by European Union funded for shared space initiatives, 7 European towns have launched shared space initiatives, including Ostende in Belgium, Ipswich in England, and the small northern town of Bohmte, Germany. Okay, so we're not even mentioning that in actually Bohmte is what I said, Bohmte, Germany. But in Nieder-Erlenbach, not everybody is enthused. With no indications as to where to park, drivers tend to park everywhere, stalling traffic. Ulrich Marcus finds the lack of sidewalks unsettling. Children don't know where they feel secure anymore. So there are issues actually with this new model. And I think that we should be wary of the new issues, but not to stop the thing from actually progressing. So why are we digging up sidewalks? Why not keep the sidewalks? What's the problem with the sidewalks? The sidewalks, where the cars are supposed to go, where the people are supposed to be in general. But if people need to cross the street, the street is public. It's public. Then here in Muldrow, there's no actual public spot. There's no crosswalk, and there's some places where there's no sidewalk. So what are you supposed to do? Well, I have to walk on the street in order to get to my destination. I'm not going to walk in the dirt and get my shoes all muddy and stuff. If there's cars coming and I need to step off to the side, I will, but I'll get right back on the road because it's a public road and I should be allowed to use that. And that's okay. So children don't know where they feel secure anymore, right? So while it's too early to assess the impact of the changes on traffic incidents, the no traffic sign rules forcing everybody to behave more responsibly. Most residents agree. Jorita Lascaro says that the changes have created a new atmosphere on the street. We all have to be careful all the time. And that's sort of the point. In order to not kill other people and to not hurt other people, you have to be mindful of where they're at. And I think that's a good thing. That can only, benefit us. There's the father of anarchism, Makkinga Buchanan. He says he rejects every form of legislation. Fuck all the legislation. He don't want no laws at all. People can govern themselves. When they're being governed by laws, then they're being more obedient to the laws and not to each other and their own humankind. When the Russian aristocrat and the father of anarchism, Mikhail Buchanan, said this, the Tsar banished him to Siberia. But now it seems his ideas are being rediscovered. European traffic planners are dreaming of streets free of rules and directives. They want drivers and pedestrians to interact in a free and humane way as brethren by means of friendly gestures, nods of the head, and eye contact without the prohibition, the harassment of prohibitions, restrictions, and warning signs. So that's right up my alley. These are the naked streets. That's what we're talking about here. So a project implemented by the European Union is currently seeing 7 cities and regions clear-cutting their forest of traffic signs. Ejby in Denmark is participating in the experiment, as are Ipswich in England and the Belgian town of Ostende. The utopia has already become a reality in Makkinga in the Dutch province of Western Frisia. A sign by the entrance to the small town, population 1,000, reads Verkeersbord, some weird fucking German-looking word, Verkeersbordverge. but that means free of traffic signs. So cars bumble unhurriedly over precision-trimmed granite cobblestones. Stop signs and direction signs are nowhere to be seen. There are neither parking meters nor stopping restrictions, and there aren't even any lines painted on the streets.